Ministry 4. Now there was this certain man named Lazarus who was ill. He was from Bethany, the same village as Mary and her sister Martha. Now this was the same Mary who had anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped off his feet with her hair, and the ailing Lazarus was her brother. The sisters therefore sent a message to Jesus. Lord, the one that you love is ill. Now when Jesus heard this, he said, This illness will not lead to death, but to the glorification of God, so that the Son of God might be exalted thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister, and Lazarus too. So when he heard about his condition, Jesus stayed where he was for 2 days. Let us return to Judea, he said to his students. Rabbi, the disciples questioned him, the Jews have just now tried to stone you, and are you going back again? Are there not 12 hours in a day? Jesus replied. If anyone should walk in daylight, he will not stumble, because he can see by the light of this world. If, however, someone should walk at night, then he will indeed slip up, for there is no light in him. After saying this to them, he explained, Our friend Lazarus has only fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. So his followers said to him, Sir, if he is sleeping, then he will get well. Now Jesus meant that he had died, but the disciples imagined that he was talking about some kind of restful slumber. So at that point Jesus came out and said, Lazarus is dead, but for your sakes I am glad that I was not there, so that you might come to believe. Even so, let us all now go to him. At this, Thomas, who was also known as Didymus, said to the other disciples, Let us all go with him as well, that we might all die alongside him. So Jesus came and found that Lazarus had already been entombed for 4 days. Now Bethany was only about 15 stadia away from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them on the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus would soon be there, she went out to meet him, while Mary stayed at home. Lord, said Martha, my brother would never have passed on had you been here, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you might ask of him. Your brother will be raised again, Jesus said. I know, Martha answered, he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and I am life. Anyone who trusts in me, even though he passes on, he will indeed live. And everyone who is alive and has faith in me will never, ever die. Do you believe this? I do, my Lord, she answered him. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is coming into the world. And after she had said all this, she returned and summoned Mary, and said to her privately, The teacher is here, and he's asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went over to where Jesus was. Now Jesus had not yet entered into the village, but was still waiting there where Martha had met him. The Jews who had been with her in her house, consoling her, when they saw how Mary had sprung up and hurried out, said, She is going to weep at the tomb. So they followed after her. So when Mary got to the place where Jesus was and saw him there, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, my brother would never have died if you had been here. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was deeply stirred within his spirit, and he grew troubled. Then he asked them, Where have you laid him? Lord, they replied, come and see. Jesus wept. So the Jews there said, Look at how deep his love for Lazarus was. But some of them sneered, Could not this one who opened up the eyes of the blind man also have kept this man from dying? So Jesus, once again deeply moved, arrived at the tomb. It was a cave with a stone lying across it. Remove the stone, he said to them. And Martha, the sister of the deceased, protested, Lord, the stench of death is on him now, for he has been dead for 4 days. Did I not already say to you, Jesus reminded her, that if you were to believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they removed the stone where the dead man lay, and Jesus looked to the sky and said, Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know very well that you always do, but I said it for the sake of those standing here, that they might believe that you have sent me. And after he had spoken this, he shouted in a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth! And the one who had died came out, his grave clothes still bound around his hands and feet, and a cloth still wrapped around his face. And Jesus said, Unbind him now and let him go.